Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Just Danny Show. Tonight we're going to be going over the latest campaign treasury reports, where the candidates are as far as their donations, who's donated. There's a couple of little, there's one little surprise, and I don't know if he just thinks he's cock of the walk and is special and needs to have, we'll get to it in a minute. But anyways, we're going to start off with seat one, which, of course, is Gonzalez, word salad boy, and his opponent is Allison Strange. So we'll start off first with his campaign treasury report, but I wanted to make reference first and foremost because I think it's kind of comical. It's like, oh, are you special? Huh? So back on August the 7th, Mr. Gonzalez decides that he's going to go ahead and do an appointment of campaign treasurer and designation of campaign depository for candidates. So it's a form. And usually you would do this in the beginning. You would nominate, or not nominate, but you would dominus ominous someone to be your campaign treasurer. And he decided mid-stroke to do this. I don't know why. But his name of treasurer or deputy treasurer, he chose a CPA by the name of Denise Cauldron because of a separate incident, as you all are aware of. That's not what this podcast is about. I was doing some FOIA requests on people's phone bills, and I did notice a lot of phone calls to and from this woman's office from Gonzalez back in May. So I don't know. Maybe he just thought it would look super cool and super professional, I guess, to have a CPA be his campaign treasurer. But I thought that was pretty funny. So I just wanted to point that out. So he just dominus ominous her on August 6th. It's stamped August 6th here. So, and they've, of course, uploaded August 7th. I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was quite comical. I guess he's super important and needs a CPA. Anyways, let's get on with it. So his campaign treasury report, this is going to be the coverage period from July 7th through August the 2nd. And I called it last time we went over this in my last podcast, he's lost steam. He kind of blew his wad, as I like to say, right out of the gate, because he had a campaign kickoff, if you will, and he had like a little party, little fundraiser right out of the gate. And of course, all the huge came out to support him, the Langleys, Wallaces, the Johnsons, your usual players, Jeff Powell. And then, there goes the load. But then he thought he'd be super cute and do another one, which that last podcast I talked about at the View. And he barely met his ROI on that venue because what he paid out on that venue, he almost did not make back had it not been for Lee Shira, a huge developer in this town, Lamborghini boy, as I like to call him. He came into the rescue and swooped in and gave him $1,000. So had it not been for Shira, he would have never have met his ROI on the actual venue. So, and then the interim, I didn't do a podcast on the update. I skipped a week, right? So the last campaign treasury report, he only garnered $99 and like 99 cents or something because he has to pay fees on like credit card transactions, right? So the last one, he only got $99 from that week, which I thought was kind of comical. And I knew at that point, he definitely had already blown his wad and he's just done. I mentioned, in the podcast before that, because like I said, I skipped that week, but that you're going to see like trickles come in, like from Bob and Joan down the road, $25 here, $50 here, $100 here. And that'll be, in my prediction, the rest of his campaign. He's going to receive little nominal donations such as those. I don't think it's going to completely shut down, but I think he's just going to have very nominal donations, very small amounts. essentially, I believe he is done. So with that being said, from July 27th to August 2nd, he received $104.42 in donations, bringing his total monetary contributions to date to $11,196.85. Now, don't get me wrong, he still is the front runner when it comes to the amount of donations received. Out of the 6 candidates running, 3 of which are incumbents, he is at the top of the game as far as monetary contributions to date. Now, he has spent $2,441.44, which is leaving him with $8,755.41 left over. So while he may have raised at $11,196.85, he only has $87.55 left over as of August 2nd. So as you are aware, we've got another week that we're going to have on here at some point, which will be due next Friday. So we'll see this past week's donations next Friday. Essentially, they're a week behind. So, but as of the date of this reporting, August 2nd, he has $8,755.41 left over. So, and that person that donated was this gentleman named Jim Creddy. You're going to see his name again on another candidate's report, and we'll go over that in just a second. So that's what we're looking at with Gonzo. Now let's skip to next, of course, to his opponent, Allison Strange. Everybody is really liking Allison Strange. She came out of the gate very, very slow and very smooth. Didn't go ahead and do a big campaign fundraiser, much less 2, as Gonzo, her opponent, has already done. I think she is working on one. They're trying to settle a date at this point, the last time I spoke to her. So she will be having a fundraiser at some point. They're just trying to nail down a date. So I believe her way of doing things is going to pay off. This is another prediction I have. The last podcast I said, I believe that she was either going to steadily creep up on Gonzalez and either equal what he has taken in donations, or she might even surpass. And so when we go over this campaign treasury report for contributions to her campaign, you're going to get a feel that she might surpass. Okay, because we already know Gonzalez's load is blown. It's blown. He's already tapped into the usual developers, as I like to say, the shady developers. So he's already got their money, unless they want to pull a fast one, and they usually do. They'll give money to, Betty Brown down the street and say, here, give this to him and just say it's from you. Here's $500. Okay, so aside from that, which they absolutely can do unbeknownst to you, because they're going to play it off like, again, Betty Brown donated the $500, but it was their money. So besides that, having maybe pulling that shit later on, he's done. But Allison is like really coming along very well. Again, same coverage period, September, 2 months beyond here. Coverage period, again, July 27th to August 2nd. She received, to his, what was it, $104, did I say? She received $3,781.67 in that time period. This is very telling. This is very telling, folks, because, again, she's going to steadily creep up on his ass, either meet him right where he's at, or she's going to surpass him. And my prediction is, again, I think she's going to surpass him. So her total monetary contributions to date is $9,266.67. Now, her total monetary expenditures to date are $2,310.27, leaving her left, in her bank account, $6,956.40. Just to reiterate, Gonzo has $8,755.41 left after his expenditures. So the difference is, we're just going to round up by about 99 cents, because I like even numbers, to $1,800. So there's only an $1,800 difference right now. And we're early in the game, folks. We are early in the game. Only $1,800 difference between Gonzo and Strange. Now, and Gonzo is the incumbent. So this is very telling and very not so surprising, because Allison is a smart cookie. Super smart. I don't think anybody in this town would want to debate her. So you won't see a debate between she and Gonzo. Won't happen. Won't ever happen. Gonzo wouldn't even show up to any of the meet and greets except one 2 years ago, which was Kingsridge. He declined every other meet and greet. So did Murray, and so did Pines, because they were all scared to debate the people that were going against them. Okay? But, and at the time, Todd Howard was going against Gonzo, remember? And he didn't want to debate Todd either. So, I don't know of anybody personally in my little circle of friends that would want to go up against Allison Strange and debate her. I know I wouldn't want to debate her in anything financial, obviously legal, because she's an attorney. I wouldn't. So I think you are not 100%, I can say with 100% certainty, you will not see Gonzo show up at any event that Allison will attend, unless they're certain that there is going to be separation between the two. There's not going to be like a debate. There's not going to be an ask Allison and then ask Gonzo kind of thing. Not really a debate, but maybe just ask questions. You're not even going to see that from Gonzo. He will decline every single gathering that is going to include his opponent, because he is scared. Because I've been saying it for 2 years, and I'll say it again. He is stupid. Fight me. I mean, and I'm not being malicious in that. I am being an honest, that is my honest opinion of him. He is literally stupid. He speaks in word salads. He doesn't know anything about anything. That man, talking to him, he just tells you nice things, and that's the extent of him. He is a moron. He's a moron. And Allison is extremely, extremely intelligent. So you put a complete moron next to someone extraordinarily intelligent, he is going to look like an amoeba on the bottom of your shoe. Okay? That's how dumb he is going to look. He looks dumb next to the average person, or to the mediocre intelligent person, but to someone as extremely as intelligent as Allison Strange, he might as well just throw in the towel and give her the remainder of his campaign contributions. Just say, take it. Okay? So with this campaign treasury report, she is getting her information out there. She is making a lot of stride, I think, in this campaign, dare I say, competition, because she's kicking his ass. Again, there's only $1,800 difference between the two of them. And it's early in the game, folks, and she has not even begun to tap into her resources yet. I did speak to her earlier this week. I like to keep in touch with all the candidates. And she said she has not even tapped into her resources yet. This past week, this $3,781, not even full tapping. This is just like her not even really doing anything, because she's been busy with her spring game stuff. So now that she's able to really focus on the fundraising aspect of it, you're going to see huge strides. And again, I think she's 100% going to surpass Michael in funds. She surpasses him in brains. She's going to surpass him in funds. I really think this is going to be a race to watch. I think her race between her and Gonzo is the most exciting race. I really do. So with that being said, only $1,800 difference between them. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on over to seat 3, which is mayor. We got an equally inept, moronic person as the incumbent, which is Murray. And then, of course, he's running, his opponent is Rick Van Wagner. And let's go ahead and pull up their stuff here. We'll start with Tim Murray. And he's got some interesting things on here. And the reason why I'm going to say interesting is because a lot of people were worried that because Rick Van Wagner had been on council previously 12 years ago, that, he's going to get a lot of the developers' money. Developers are just going to throw themselves at him. not so much. Not so much. You're seeing that Murray's getting developer money more so than Rick. Again, Shira gave to Murray. And actually, I'm going to need to actually go back one report. Sorry about that, because I did skip a week, and the last podcast I did, Shira hadn't given him money yet. So I'm going to go back a week prior to this. I hate to backtrack. I don't want to get you in the weeds, but Shira did donate. But let's focus on this one right now since I have it pulled up. It's July 27 to August 2nd. So during this time period, Murray collected $2,300, and to date, he has spent $1,958.18. Now, his total monetary contributions to date is $7,655, but of course, you're going to want to subtract the $1,958.18, which is going to leave Murray with $5,696.82. This week, a developer swooped in. Again, if you think he's not still getting developer money, you've thought wrong, because now, especially Wolf and Wallace is on Michelle's, Wolf and Wallace is on Michael's. So Wolf and Wallace gave Murray $1,000 last week. So does that surprise you? Now, why is Wallace up their asses constantly, all these incumbents? Well, if you've been paying attention to my show, or maybe not, maybe just you go to council meetings, you'll realize that Wallace is working on the lumberyard district hoopla bullshit, which in my opinion is contaminated, but I digress. Anywho, with arsenic. That's my opinion. But I guess when you have soil tested by your buddies, who you hire, you can get them to really say anything. I would be interested to do an independent study out there from somebody else and gather every 100-foot gathering of soil, but I digress. Anywho, he wants to push this lumberyard, and he's going to want to do shit to it and probably come in with, variances or this or that or something. So he wants to suck the corporate, or not corporate, the governmental schnoz, for lack of a better term. So he's going to fund all the incumbents, because he knows that if he funds them, he's bought them, just like he did 2 years ago. He and Darren like to buy themselves council members. It happens all the time. Again, it's legal. I wish it wasn't. I wish DeSantis would get off his ass and change that. But as of right now, it's legal to accept donations from developers. But I digress. So he's doing the same thing this go around, and he's buying himself the same 3 again, just to make sure. You with me? You still going to give me what I want up there? Here's $1,000. Here's $1,000. Here's $1,000. So it doesn't surprise me to see this on Murray's campaign treasury report. Now, it's a little late in the game, because Wallace did give it up to Michael Gonzalez and to Pines earlier on. So I don't know why he took a while to come around and pop off $1,000 to Murray. Kind of interesting. What a really good Republican. Let's give $1,000 to a Democrat. Anyway, then we got Tracy Taylor. If you remember Tracy Taylor, this is hilarious, and I'll give you my take on this. Tracy Taylor lives in Windermere. He is the manager of Hyundai here in Clermont, and he gave him $1,000. And 2 years ago, Tracy Taylor gave him $1,000 as well. Do I think this is comical? Well, because Murray drives a newer Hyundai vehicle. He thinks he's hot shit in it. He thinks it's just it's almost like he thinks he's driving a BMW or something, but he's real proud of it. And it's been a running joke of mine and some others here in town. That's the reason why he desperately runs for mayor, and holds on to that, because he's got to get that $600 a month paycheck so he can make the car payment. Anyway, so my take on this is like, he bought a vehicle from Hyundai and said, if I buy this vehicle, will you give me $1,000 every time I run for mayor? I mean, it sounds like a tit for tat. It really does, but who can prove it? Nobody. And again, Tracy Taylor can donate to whoever's campaign he wants to, but I find it really comical, because it's the dealership he literally bought his little cruiser from. So it just sounds like there was maybe a tit for tat there. I don't know. Maybe not, but I just think it's kind of funny. Anyway, so that's where his money came from this go around. And I, like I said, I hate to get you all in the weeds and jump back, but because I did skip that week and it's kind of important, I want to go back to the coverage period before, which was July 20 to July 26. And he received that week, Murray, $3,405. And when you go down and you look who did it, you're going to see all of Shira's shit. So he gave him $1,000. So BDG Hancock, Vanderbilt Education, John Young Crossings, Ashley Park LLC, all out of Denver, Colorado. Every single one of those is owned and operated by Shira himself. And each one of those, which is 4 LLCs, gave him $250 a pop, equaling $1,000. So who else did he get here from that was kind of interest? Oh, Roy Davis gave him $1,000. He's always on there too. He's a Murray lover. What else was? Oh, and Darren Johnson, of course, gave him $500. Real good Republican, Darren. Real good Republican. See, these are the kind of Republicans that piss me off and make me sick, because they're willing to sell their firstborn in order to make money. And so Darren knows that he needs Murray's vote for whatever he has planned. I don't know, him and his broke ass, because he sold everything. For what reason, I don't know. People, there's rumors that because he's going broke and he had bills due. And he actually admitted that in an article, that he had bills coming due, and so he sold everything. So anyway, so obviously he's got something up his sleeve that he's going to need a yes vote on, hence why he gave $500 to a Democrat. So these Republicans, if you even want to call them, are disgusting. Again, I know this is a nonpartisan situation with council, but still, as a Republican, how could you? How could you? But Darren Johnson and Wallace and even Shira are super quick to do it. So they're disgusting Republicans, if we should even call them Republicans. They're only Republican when it helps their pocketbook. They're Democrats or liberals when it helps their pocketbooks. So, So I just wanted to mention that, because I think I skipped that week on my last podcast. So I just wanted to let you know that Shira did throw money at Murray. And who knows, maybe this is at the behest of Balsack, because he knows, and I told him, well, I didn't tell him specifically, but I did tell Kurt Henschel several months ago, probably early March, that he better not get too comfortable, because when we get our folks in there, and they will win, when they get in there, he's gone. They're gonna fire his ass. So who knows? Maybe Balsack's making some phone calls to these assholes, begging them to give money to the incumbents so that they can win. Because if they don't win, his job is gone. It's gone. Bye. So who knows? And that might have been why Wallace took a while to donate. You naughty little Republican, you. Anyway, so I did want to backtrack on Tim Murray's, but anyway, so Murray is left with, again, $5,696.82 at this time. Now let's go ahead and move forward here to Rick Van Wagner, which is his opponent. Again, July 27 to August 2nd, he received in contributions $2,450, totaling $10,892.51 in total monetary contributions. He has spent $3,297.90, leaving him with $7,594.61 left. So the difference between he and Murray is $1,900 difference, which Rick is currently in the lead on that one monetarily. He is in the lead. So he's $1,900 ahead of Murray. So Murray is closing in on him a little bit there. So unless other shady little Republican developers that are pigs and want to donate to a Democrat so they can buy their votes, unless they step up to the podium, if you will, here shortly, I think Rick will take him out money-wise. But you never know. That's, Wallace waited a little bit. So we could have some more Republican developers that will have to swallow their pride and pay off Murray to get a vote as well. So that's what it's looking like between Rick and Murray. And actually, Rick is the only candidate, not incumbent, the only candidate that is outraising his opponent. All the other incumbents, like Gonzo and Pines, have outraised their opponents. But Rick and Murray, that's the only one where Rick, the candidate, has outraised his opponent, in the incumbent. So we're going to move forward here, and we're going to hit Bill Peterson for seat 5. He, of course, is running against Pig Pines. And we'll go ahead and cover his. Now, Bill Peterson is very well known in the community as far as because of what he does. Not well known politically, but well known because he's a pharmacist. So he is in a certain age group. He's well known. He knows a lot of the elderly that live in Kings Ridge, Heritage Hills, Summit Greens. So because of his notoriety in there for being a pharmacist and all that, and he has a lot of contacts in those 3 communities, he could pull this off real easily just with the notoriety, with the interaction with the people that live in those areas. Now, that being said, he is he's far behind in monetary donations compared to Pig Pines. So we'll get on that. So again, July 27 to August 8th, he received $520 in cash and checks, and then $870.08 with as an in-kind, which we'll later see in just a moment, came from himself. So his total monetary contributions to date is $3,328.47. Total monetary expenditures, $1,660.50. So his leftover is $1,667.97. Now, he had a few very small, he's got a $251 here, donation. And then he gave himself $870.08 in kind. So he is sitting kind of a little nervously at $1,667.97. Out of all 6 candidates, he is the one with the least funds available to him to utilize for his campaign. Specifically, what I'm worried about is mailers. So if he does, in fact, have that kind of rapport with those residents in those 3 communities, he could possibly pull it off because he doesn't necessarily need the mailers. But for those folks that kind of live with their head in the sand and they're not very active in the community as far as, hey, what's going on with council, and they only kind of vote with whatever they see in their mailbox coming, then Pines is going to get her mailer in there, and that's the only name they're going to see. They're not going to know her from Adam's cat, but they'll still vote for her because, hey, that's the only name I saw. Now, he does have some signs around town, but signs don't win you elections. So I'm a little worried about him monetarily, but he may pull it off just because of his rapport with the 3 large voting voting like areas there. So you got, again, Kings Ridge, Summit Greens, and Heritage Hills. So he could quite possibly pull it off. So let's go down to Pig Pines. Her treasury report, again, the same coverage period, 7/27 to August 2nd. And then I want to kind of like reel back on hers another week too, to point out something kind of comical. But we'll start with this because this is from this past week. So she got $1,083.53 this last week, the week before. So her total monetary contributions to date as of August 2nd is $7,083.53. Now she has spent $1,966.43, leaving her with $5,087.10. So the difference between she and Peterson is $3,400. So she has more than double left over compared to what he has left over. So at this point in time, she has plenty to send out a mailer. He does not. So unless he can up his game monetarily, he's going to have a hard time sending out a mailer to all the voting areas that are necessary. With that little, he can send out a mailer, but it's going to be a very small mailer to a very small amount of voters. And when you're in this, you like to send out, obviously, to all parties. MPA especially is important for people that pay attention to who they're voting for from a political party stance, and not just nonpartisan, and I'm just going to vote for the best person. Because generally it all boils down to party affiliation. It just does. So it's the MPAs you really have to focus on. And if you've stayed aware of the number of MPAs in our city of Clermont, you would realize that they are getting up there in numbers. And I've told you this before, and I haven't actually and I had a FOIA requested. I had to pay $10 to get this FOIA request to see how many registered MPAs and how many registered Republicans and how many registered Democrats there were in the city of Clermont, because that was not accessible on the website, which I think is gross. Ellen Hayes, that I had to pay $10 to get the separate of the different parties of how many people were registered. I think it's hideous. Fix that. Anyway, and that was 2 years ago, and so I'm sure it's had an influx in the last 2 years, but back then, 2 years ago, between the MPAs and the Democrats combined, and I don't want to say with 100% that all MPAs are liberals, but generally they tend to be liberal. So I in my opinion, in that, take it for what it's worth, I would think the registered MPAs in this town specifically, I would say maybe 20% of them, and that's probably kind of a little high. Maybe 15 to 20% of them are just like fed up with both parties, and they might be constitutionalists or whatever, or they're just fed up with both parties in general. But the rest, 100% I would say are liberal. So between the MPAs and the Democrats together, they outnumber the Republicans. And again, this is why we are seeing repeatedly, time in and time again, Democrats being voted into our city council. Any Republican aside from Todd Howard that's sitting up there right now are 100% rhinos. They are 100% rhinos. They would sell their firstborn to get back up on that dais, or to get the money they need to run again. They're pigs, right? Rhinos, pieces of shit. So until that gets fixed, which I don't think that's going to happen, we're getting more and more people from Ohio, people from Minnesota moving in here, people from down south coming up. I mean, a lot of MPAs, a lot of liberals are moving into Clermont. It is what it is, and it's gross. But I said, I think 4 years ago, that we were turning purple, and boom, we are. Again, do I have a crystal ball? I wish, but it seems like I do. So I don't think he's going to be able to have the funds at this point. At $1,667, he might be able to send a mailer out to maybe 15% of the voters combined. Michelle actually would have to utilize all her funds that she has left, which is the $5,087, to reach every single voter in the city of Clermont, because that's going to cost about $5,000 to reach every single one. So Peterson monetarily is in a very bad spot. He's in a pickle right now. And again, if we're going to put all of our eggs in one basket when it comes to mailers and the reach to the registered voters in Clermont, okay, so he is going to have to lean really hard on the fact that he knows these people in these 3 big voting communities. That's what's going to help him. So anyway, so I did say I wanted to go back 1 week to Michelle's last Treasury report, because I thought it kind of comical. Because remember the one before that, actually my last podcast I said that it was very strange that Shira only gave her, what was it, $500, right? And that Shira had given dipshit Gonzo $1,000. I'm like, oh, she must not, be useful anymore. So anyway, was it this one? Yes. Okay. So the last one, which I did not do a podcast on, which again would be July 20 to July 26th, campaign treasury report. Shira decides, oh shit, I only gave Michelle $500. Or maybe he watched my podcast and thought, well, she called me out. I guess I better be, Or maybe Michelle did something real special to get the extra 500. Anyway, so John Young's Crossing, you'll see 250. Ashley Park LLC, you'll see another 250. So he's like, oh shit, forgot to give Michelle an extra 5. Only gave her 5, gave everybody $1,000. I better swoop back in and give her 500 more. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was kind of comical. That he decided, whoopsie, forgot to give her the full 1,000. What was I thinking? Or Michelle went knocking on the door, maybe offered him a wet sandwich. Inside joke. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at, folks. That's what we're looking at. That's the update on all of the candidates, including the incumbent. I did want to say that there is going to be a meet and greet. It's not going to be accessible to the public, only people that live in Legends. So if you live in Legends, there is going to be a meet and greet in your clubhouse August 16th, which is what, Tuesday? Next Tuesday? I believe it's at 6:30. So if you live in Legends, and I'm sure you've already received an email, you will be getting the opportunity to meet the candidates running. Now, I will let you know that it appears that only Peterson, Strange, and Van Wagner have agreed to appear at this meet and greet. There were a couple of dates that were shouted out to all of the candidates, inclusive of the incumbents. When I say candidates, I mean incumbents as well. There was a couple dates thrown out there. Nobody responded to what date was best for them other than the candidates, not the incumbents. The incumbents acted like they didn't care and never responded. Only the candidates responded, and they mutually agreed on August 16th. The incumbents did not even offer up, hey, that doesn't work for me or whatever. They just blew off that email initially trying to pick a best date. I did want to put that out there. And then only 2 ended up responding after the fact, after they decided it was going to be August 16th, because the candidates did respond, where again, like I said, the incumbents did not, to choose one of the 2 dates. And once the candidates chose August 16th, and then they sent out another email to let everybody know, hey, it's August 16th at 6:30, then Gonzo and Pines declined to attend. The last I heard, Murray has yet to respond, period. He drives a Hyundai. He's too good. He's too good to respond. So he never responded as far as the last time I spoke to people that were getting that event together, which I believe was earlier this week, maybe Monday. So unless he responded since then, he didn't respond. I guess he's too good. Here's a mayor that's supposed to be representing the entire city, not just Lincoln Park, that constantly ignores emails. 2 years ago, when I was involved in the whole shit show of running, he never responded to shit either. I don't believe he ever even responded to Legends 2 years ago, or did he? No, he declined. He declined. He did respond to them. But there were several other people that reached out to me and said, look, none of these people are even responding. So before I wrap this up, I did want to point out the obvious, and I said it 2 years ago, and I'm going to say it again, because if these 3 incumbents get elected back in again, which I hope to God and baby Jesus they do not, but if they do and they run again after this, you're going to see the same thing like clockwork. So they are running as the 3 Stooges. They would like to think the 3 Musketeers, but they are running together again. If you notice 2 years ago, they ran together. Wherever you saw a Murray sign, you would see a Gonzo and a Pine sign, and vice versa. You see it right in front of Pig Pines' house. But don't drive by. Don't drive by, because Limpy, her lover, will tell you you're stalking him. Even though it's a public road. Limpy. But anyway, they're all in 3s. You'll see them in people's yards all in 3s. You'll see them, and of course they're all on Shira's property. What a good little Republican you are, Shira, letting all the Democrats put signs on your property. They're all in 3s everywhere you go. And over here by where I live on this empty parcel that Gupta owns, all 3 of them reside right there. the signs. So I wonder why that is. I wonder if Gupta is the last I looked, but it kept getting tabled, and I don't know what the hell's going on with it now. I guess he can afford traffic study after traffic study after traffic study because those only last for so long, and they expire, and you have to do another one. But he is wanting to change up the CUP over there. He used to want the 2 medical buildings, 18,000 square foot each. Now the last time he had was on the agenda, which ended up getting tabled or pulled, one or the other. He wanted to do one giant building, I think, for like 40,000 square feet. So that apparently will be coming up soon, maybe, because I see all 3 of their signs over there at the corner over here beside my house. And lucky me, I get to drive by that every day and look at it. It's so great. Anyway, so they are once again campaigning together like 3 little stooges. So you got the Democrat and the 2 rhinos. You might as well just say they're all Democrats running together, because who does that? I would not put my sign anywhere near a Democrat. Anyway, unless somebody put it there for me. But anyway, so, which maybe this is happening now. Maybe they're putting their, but I know because I've seen all of them putting their signs up over here. Murray was over here digging a hole the other day. His sign just went up. And Basketball Head was watching him. So anyway, I wanted to say that. I wanted to bring that up, that they're campaigning all together again. And as usual, all together, they're declining meet and greets so far. I don't believe they'll decline Kingsridge. They didn't. That was the only one they attended 2 years ago. I don't know what's so special about Kingsridge. It's not the biggest voting hub anymore. Pay attention. But they felt the need to go ahead and go over there. Gonzo won't decline because that's his new buddies over there is Kingsridge. He's blinding them over there, making them think that he's, their designated council member. Remember that shit show? Won't go into that. But anyway, they'll probably say okay to Kingsridge, but everywhere else you're probably going to see them decline. But that will be an interesting one because I think Allison will take advantage of that. Pretty sure. Showing up over there and probably putting Gonzo in his place, but ever so eloquently, because she's very eloquent, very intelligent, and very sweet. So I don't see her being mean about it, but I think she will get her point across if he even enters that room with her. Then again, he might not. He didn't show up at the Hobnob, nor did Murray. So why didn't they show up? Gonzo probably didn't want to be in the same vicinity as Allison then. Word on the street was that he was out of town and couldn't make it. And no explanation from the Murray camp why he was not there. So a little strange that they would not show up at the Hobnob. So I thought that was kind of funny. But with that being said, yeah, that's the update. And then I'll keep you updated. Probably every other campaign treasury report I'll keep you updated on, so I'm not having to come on here every week. But yeah, I think, my prediction is Allison will either meet or exceed Gonzo fairly quickly, monetarily. I think that is going to be the biggest, most fascinating race to watch. I think Rick is going to handle himself fine against Murray. Not really too interested in that particular race. It is going to be interesting how many more developers will step up late in the game to throw money at Murray. And again, only a few developers have given to Rick so far. Shira did not give to Rick Van Wagner. So if you're on the fence and you don't really care about political affiliation, just know that Murray has gotten hella more money from developers than Rick has. So if that's going to help you make a decision as to who you're voting for, there you go. Murray is still getting funded by developers. And then, of course, Pines and Peterson. Peterson needs help monetarily, but he maybe can pull it off, maybe just because of his notoriety within those 3 neighborhoods for being their pharmacist. So we shall see. It's going to be interesting. Just in general, this entire election is going to be interesting, not just our local race, but our presidential race. And that could be a whole nother podcast, but I won't go off on that tangent. So with that being said, thank you for joining me and have a good night. Bye-bye now.